Welcome to Better Brains for Babies, buffering the brain from toxic stress. My name is Elizabeth Ronchil Cartagena, and I work for K-State Research and Extension, which is a statewide network of educators sharing unbiased, research-based information and expertise on issues important to Kansas. We're going to start with the exercise of breathing that we learned before, just reminding us that we can use this technique for anything, but we're talking here as a parenting, so any situation that you have, to your children, your spouse, or in the house, that is something that can create conflicts. We're going to start with the breathing technique. So let's start breathing in. You hold it. And blow as you are blowing a candle. And continue. As you see, it's something that is easy to follow, and nobody knows that you're doing it. So it's for you to have self-control, and when we are relaxed, we can have a better way of thinking and more patient. So today we're going to talk about stress and trauma. You are the one that can make the difference in your child or in your children. Nobody else. Everybody else will have their part on doing that difference. So you're going to focus on you as a person that is in charge of that child or children. Stress. Stress is any external stimulus that threatens the balance of the normal equilibrium in the body. You are relaxed in your chair, just looking, maybe a movie or something, and then you hear a boom, and you just jump out of the chair looking what the noise came from. So that is the external stimulus that now is threatening the balance of your equilibrium, the normal equilibrium that you have in your body. So that's what we're talking about today, and that is related with the stress and trauma. Let's review a little bit about the brain and the parts that we are focusing on today. So we said that the brain is what develops, like comparing kind of like when you are building a house, the foundation, and then comes the walls and so on. So we're going to talk about this brainstem. It's at the base of the skull. It connects your brain to your spinal cord and sends messages to the rest of the body to regulate balance, breathing, heart rate, and control the most basic automatic functions such as breathing, blinking, sucking, grasping, the heartbeats, maintain the normal body temperature, the digestive process and the elimination. And your brainstem also contains a reticular activating system, which is a network of neurons, and the neurons are the cells that carry electrical signals and the chemicals to your brain, like we saw with the synapses. It controls your sleep and wake cycles, and it also helps you start alert and attentive to your surroundings. So keep that information in your mind, because we're going to use it later, and you will see when the stress and the trauma comes and how that brainstem is doing those stuff. Also, we have the limbic system, like the middle of your brain. And it's a central part of it is in the central part of your brain and process emotions, perceptions, attachment, and memory, and processes and remember at an unconscious level, even before verbal language. So it is happening even when the baby is talking. So just because the baby is not talking, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have those emotions or those perceptions and that memory. We say that is a combo, the amygdala, register the emotions at the unconscious level, the learning and the emotional memory, and damage to that part of the brain loses the ability to register fear or register too much fear. And so the amygdala works together with the hippocampus. So they work together to record emotions and remember and learn from them. So the emotional memory processor, the emotional memory information, the coordinate memory by time, the sense of vision and smell, like we talked before, a smell of something that takes you to childhood, or different times in the year, maybe you say, oh, I remember that's the same breeze when I was a child, things like that. Take the memory and retrieve it. And so for example, they have episodic moments when, for example, the first day of school, I remember that, and different things. So the brainstem, the limbic system, and now we're going to go to the prefrontal cortex. It's the area at the very front of the frontal lobe. It is the area of the brain just above the eyebrow, beneath the forehead. For more information that you can see where it is at. And some of the functions are has the role in a higher level cognitive functions like decision making, the emotions, the planning, the impulse control, the motivation, the personality. It's there. And the prefrontal cortex will keep your emotions in proportion. So while the amygdala handles positive emotions like happiness, gratitude, satisfaction, as well as the negative, like anger, jealousy, pain, sadness, the prefrontal cortex handles the judgment. And that is when you have the self-control. You have all those emotions, but the prefrontal cortex is the one that kind of like make a judgment of how to use and how much. Okay. So that part also is important because it's part of the memory, the intelligence, the concentration. People with damage to the prefrontal cortex on the frontal lobe area face difficulty in controlling the emotions, anger, and aggression. And do you know that the maturation of this prefrontal cortex to be fully developed takes until approximately 25 years. When you are 25 years old, that area on your brain is fully developed. So sometimes when we were teenagers, we were doing things that were not safe sometimes. Well, when you were 25 years old, you're like completely developed. So the development of and maturation of the prefrontal cortex occurs primarily during the adolescence and is fully accomplished at the age of 25 years old. The development of the prefrontal cortex is very important for complex behavioral performance, as this region of the brain helps accomplish all those things like decision making, the personality, the emotions, the planning, the impulse control, the motivation, and things like that. So some stress is a normal part of life, and learning how to cope with stress is an important part of the development. However, the constant activation of the body's stress response systems due to chronic or traumatic experiences in the absence of caring, stable relationship with adults, especially during sensitive periods of early development, can be toxic to the brain architecture and other developing organ systems. So it's something that we have with us. It is the stress the response that when you, for example, you're watching a movie and you hear the boom, and right there, your body starts releasing the cortisol because it's made for you to fight or to flight. So it's a survival mechanism that you have in your body, and you can feel that heart rate, and well, the cortisol is there, the adrenaline, and your attention is focused on that threat. So the primitive part of the brain take over. That part on the brainstem that is kind of like the functions for you to survive are the one that gets activated. What part of the brain is responsible for the stress response? Well, brain areas implicated in the stress response include the amygdala, that we saw, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex. So the cortisol play a critical role in the stress response, and these brain areas play an important role in the stress response. When the perceived threat is gone, the system are designed to return to normal function via the relaxation responses. But in case of the chronic stress, the relaxation response doesn't occur often enough, and being in a near constant state of fight or flight can cause damage to the body. That was made just for defend yourself and then to come back to relaxation. But when that threat is there all the time or very often and is very strong, it starts like that cortisol is there to defend yourself. So if that happened when the early development of the brain is occurring, those first 3 years, those first 5 years, the damage is great because the cortisol is running, and it's going to start damaging the organs that later on in adulthood, that person is going to suffer or have some conditions, health conditions. So in the brainstem, we have something that is called the medulla. And your medulla doesn't control aggressive behavior, anger, or similar emotions. Those emotions rely on, like we said, in the limbic system. But your medulla only role is in aggression is how to manage the heart rate, breathing, and other automatic processes. Like we saw, when you are scared, then your heart starts like pumping faster, and your breathing is kind of tight, and all those things. And so it's all a combination of all of them, trying to help you to defend yourself. Did you know that negative experiences in childhood and teenager years may put children at risk for chronic health problems, mental illnesses, and substance use in adulthood? These negative experiences are known as adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. And there are potentially traumatic experiences such as neglect, experiencing or witnessing violence, and having a family member attempt or die by suicide that occur in childhood, birth to 17, that can affect children for years and impact their life. Fortunately, we can prevent ACEs, all those experiences, and we can learn educating parents and the community to see how we can help to help the child grow up in a safe and a stable environment. That's why we're doing all of these classes. So we have 3 levels of stress. This positive stress response is a normal and essential part of healthy development, characterized by brief increases in heart rates and mild elevations in hormone levels. Some situations that might trigger a positive stress response, for example, are the first day with a new caregiver or receiving an injected immunization. That is examples of the positive stress that everybody's going maybe to experience, but the key here is that you have somebody around you as a support. The next one is a tolerable stress. And this stress activates the body alert system to a greater degree as a result of more severe, longer lasting difficulties, such as maybe the loss of a loved one, a natural disaster, a frightening injury, such as something that happened, car accident or things like that, or moving to a new home, changing childcare providers, divorce, remarriage, or the birth of a sibling. As you see, the complexity of this stress is a little more. If the activation is time limited and buffered by relationship with adults who help the child adapt, the brain and other organs recover from what might otherwise be damaging effects. So the key here is to have that support from the adults around that child. And the third one is a toxic stress response. And that can occur when a child experiences strong, frequent, and or prolonged adversity, such as physical or emotional abuse, sexual abuse, chronic neglect, caregiver substance abuse or mental illness, exposure to violence, and or the accumulated burden of family economic hardship without adequate adult support. So this kind of prolonged activation of the stress response system can disrupt the development of brain architecture and other organ systems, and increase the risk for stress-related disease and cognitive impairment well into the adult years. So remember, when the child is in stress and the toxic stress, there's nobody there buffering that stress, because the child is by himself. There's no close people that are doing that support and saying it's okay, it's going to pass, I'm here for you. In this case, there's toxic stress, there's nobody like that. And so that cortisol, adrenaline, and everything running in this child is obstructing the development of the brain like should be in other organs. So having that disruption in the brain, that will bring, in other organs, it will bring chronic diseases when the child is an adult. So short-term stress does not harm brain development. Children who learn how to manage small stressors in a supportive environment develop the brain wiring that they need to handle stress. Supportive, nurturing adults help children develop the wiring in the brain to cope during the stressful time. The prolonged or chronic stress without relief can permanently alter brain development. So the synapses formation that is like when information comes to a neuron and that neuron passes to another neuron, the myelination and pruning may be delayed. So the brain has to prune certain times in that child years to make more room for things that the child is really using. If that child has the potential to learn many languages and they only have one, so the brain prunes do the pruning, so they have, okay, so it's only one, let's make more space for other things that, yes, they're it's more involved, like reading or sports or different things. And so that pruning that is necessary has to happen, but the stress maybe delay that pruning. It's like you have a bush. Every year you have to prune it because, or if you don't prune it, if you leave it like that, the branches are going to intertwine with each other and maybe they will not have flowers or it will not function well. But if you prune it, the new blooms are coming and there is a space for everything for that time. And so the connection formed in the brain as a result of ongoing stressful conditions will most likely be those that ensure survival. Areas responsible for reasoning and the rational decision making, like we said before, are likely to be underdeveloped. Because as you see, when you're in stress, the primitive areas of your brain, the brainstem, and everything that is helping you to breathe and be aware of the surrounding, it will be focused on that. So that part of the brain will be more developed than the prefrontal cortex, that is the one that is making decisions, judging, the learning. That part will not develop as well. And so children with who experience extreme neglect or deprivation tend to have less active brains with fewer connections. The children who are actively experience the richness of daily life and supportive environment. The children who are deprived of sufficient food, for example, or regular positive interaction with adults, or who are confined to a crib, for example, and not allowing to explore, experiencing serious delays on or impairment in brain development. The more serious and prolonged the neglect is, the more devastating the developmental problems can be. So if you have a baby, spend time with the baby, let them be on the floor, exploring and going outside, touching the leaves, feeling the grass, having fun with pots and pans. And so all those things that don't require any money, but you are exposing them to different experiences in your house. Versus the baby that stays in the crib the whole day, being fed, sometimes, some of them don't have the diaper changing time. And it's like there's no interaction. It's just in that space. Even when they're like a little bit older, they're still in maybe the playpen when they should be in the floor, exploring or walking around with supervision. So the prolonged stress, so they will be in different levels. The more prolonged, the more hard and early in life is will be more devastating than if it's in a teenager year, things like that. The connection not could be there. So because the focus is on the threat, not in learning that the ball is bouncing, that if I push this button in this toy, if something will pop or will sing. The persistent hyperarousal is like we have been all the time looking where's the threat is coming, it's not here. uh, the impossibility because everything is like making jump and or if you touch them, they trying to punch you because it's have to become themselves. They're not going to be able to learn like you're supposed to because the focus is on the threat, not the new information that is coming. And the memory loss is there too. So repeated exposure to violence can alter brain development. The intensity and frequency of trauma determine how the brain internalizes a traumatic event. The brain stem and limbic system set up a fight or flight response to trauma or the memory of the trauma. The brain may attempt to protect itself through impulsiveness or withdrawal. Children who have experienced trauma or violence tend to react without thinking, to strike out, or to withdraw to protect themselves. Children who experience prolonged trauma or neglect may not do well in school. There's so many things that we have to learn and that we have to do to have friends and keep those friends. May not be able to learn or process new information because the focus is on the threat. Even if they're in school, that if the violence or whatever is experience is very strong, that is when they're in their head. So in school, maybe there's no problem, but that thought of how I'm going to do when I see this person or what they're going to do to me, it's the whole time in the head. May exhibit aggressive behavior, may not be able to develop caring relationship with others, and will reflect the environment in which she or he has been raised. Children who have experienced the negative effect of stress can still grow and thrive. Consistent loving support for caring adults can counteract much of the damage caused by stress in early childhood. A strong, stable adult can make a difference to a child who has been exposed to violence, neglect, or other extreme stress. The brain is resilient and it can bounce back even after stressful experiences. The brain's plasticity enables it to compensate for some damage caused by traumatic experiences by creating new networks of synapses. Although compensating for early trauma requires intensive, long-term intervention, children who experience trauma or chronic stress in early life can overcome the trauma in life, health in a life, in a healthy life and productive life. And this is the same example of the house. You build the house and then you don't want that wall or the window in this wall, you want it in the other wall. Well, that takes time, money, manpower. But you can do it. You can close that door, the wall, and then open the other one and bring the window that you want. It's the same with the children. It is possible, but it will take more help in help with other people like therapies and things like that. And a review from other lessons, this is how you do it. You have to practice regularity and predictability because we have to predict as a human being, we need to predict what is coming. By providing an environment where the routines around daily life are predictable for children, children can be much less stressed and much more relaxed. Taking the time to keep routines predictable benefits parents and child alike. Remember what we talked about schedules and routines? Schedules and routines create predictability and stability for young children. Routines, which is the doing certain things in a certain order at approximately the same time, help build children's self-confidence by making it clear what to do in a situation. Young children who cannot tell the time or verbalize the step in a routine can still remember and depend on the order of the routine, like we mentioned before. And they can successfully follow the routine, and that results in build that self-esteem and enforce independence, and they feel proud of themselves. But also we talked about before the orderliness in the environment. An orderly, organized environment helps children know what to expect and give them the feeling of security and control. Children know where to find things. They learn where to put things when it's time to clean up. And the adult realize how stressful it can be, like when we do something in the house and we need it, like the keys or something like that. So keeping the environment, keeping the house reasonably orderly can reduce frustration and stress for children as well. And we talk also about flexibility. Flexibility change because of age and spatial location that we talked about last time. When children are secure in their regular routine, they learn to adapt to small changes more easily. Experiencing flexibility within routines help children learn to adapt without anxiety or stress. Because we have a structure, we have routines, but once in a while, because different things could bring a little bit of change, and it's okay. And they learn it that, okay, we have to do something different, but I know that tomorrow and the next day will be again the routine that we have. So what adults can do to support brain development? Ensure physical health, safety, and good nutrition. That is the basic. Respond sensitively and consistently to the children's needs. Remember that circle that we have that is a circle of trust. A child has a need. If it's a baby, will cry, and then the parents find out what they need, and the need is met. I feel hunger. I'm hungry, and I cry, and the parents say, "Oh, it's time for the bottle." They bring the bottle. That need is met, and the faster you come to supply that need, the stronger the trust. Parents can provide ongoing and enriching experiences, not leaving the baby in the playpen forever, or in the crib, or in the swing. And when they're like toddlers, to bring other experiences, like maybe Play-Doh, or going outside to play with the rocks and the leaves. Talk to them, sing to them, and read to them. The parents can create opportunities to play and explore around the house or out there, and repeat. Remember that repetition brings stronger connections in the brain. Keep talking to them or with them. When we talk with them, is a two-way conversation. Sometimes we talk at them, like ordering to do stuff, clean up, or come here, or eat. That's talking to them, but we're talking with them. It is a conversation that is two people, two ways. Key takeaway messages. Well, the research on the brain continually bringing new information that is awesome, because we understand more. The more education we have on things, the more understanding, we see them with the different eyes. And we really brings more joy of being a parent, because I understand why the tantrum of a 3-year-old is the tantrum. Well, I now understand that they have learned so much. They're not babies anymore. And they want to say so much and tell, but they don't have the vocabulary, and the frustration comes. So knowing that you are more patient, okay, let me see what you do. And show me what you want. Why do you, whatever, the conversation, understanding, and approaching with empathy will change things. And The healthy brain development is essential for children. That's how important it is, because it's a human being that just came, and we want to bring as many things in his life to enrich their life, to so they can become a very successful and capable human being and achieving many things in life. And children's basic needs met, that is basic. Good health, positive interactions, safe, secure environments, and we're talking not just about the physical environment, but also the emotional environment that house is peaceful. Yeah, any family, sometimes they have things that they're conflicts, but that conflict maintain it in a way that will affect the emotion of the little ones. The opportunity to explore. You can make the difference. Dr. Bruce Perry is a person that he has a lot of research on brain. And he says, when you look at a children who come out of a terrible environment and do well, you find someone in their life somehow instill in them the attitude that they are not helpless, that they are not powerless, that they can do something. So be that person in your child that instill that kind of attitude. We have a big problem here, but we're going to find a way to change the environment in the house, to look for help if we need to, because we are capable of getting out of this. Meaning, like, I will not hurt you because I know how to, I'm learning how to develop a good relationship with my child. All the things that are affecting the stress, the toxic stress, like the physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, violence in the house, and sometimes not with a kid, but the kid is watching, and it affects them too. And the different things that we talk about, find a way to look for help and just break that cycle and have a different way of living for our children. Well, we came to the end. This is the evaluation. Remember, as soon as you're done, let us know. That's my email there. Or Jennifer explained, the one that is sending you this. Let us know, and so we can send you the next one. We have one more lesson to go, and we're going to talk about the ACEs, the Advanced Childhood Experiences. So you have more information on that. Thank you, and I'll wait for your email telling us that you will need the next one.